So I went for a run this morning. I was thinking about ways we can take stuff in Kingsport and take it, reallocate the funds, but still get the original purpose, and also get some real future growth. And one thing I started really thinking about was FunFest and the fireworks show. Truthfully, any fireworks show, but the FunFest fireworks show came to mind, and I started thinking, how do we spend money shooting TNT up into the sky and blowing it up, and thought, it's one is some people complain about the noise and the dogs and stuff like that with fireworks, and I get it. And then I really started thinking, okay, what could we do with that to modernize it and make it all around a better use of the money? I don't know how much we spend on those. Some people, Rogersville spends like $100,000 a year on the fireworks. It's a lot of money. I don't know what Eastman or whoever sponsoring that spends. So they spend some amount of money. So let's say over the next 5 years, we say, okay, let's take a little bit of that each year and pump it into some other program. So the other program I was thinking about was, why don't we, fireworks are now recreated. You can do the same kind of displays or cooler ones with drones up in the sky. So, okay, great. So do we call China and buy a bunch of drones? No, I don't think that's the right answer. But, and that's probably very expensive to get enough drones to have a real fireworks show, unless you build it yourself. Well, I started thinking that, all right, well, how would we go about that? Well, drones are basically motors and computers with GPS, and they'll have Wi-Fi in them to talk back, and then they're really controlled from a computer, and some of them talk to each other, stuff like that. The complexity of the software can be easy or complex. But bottom line, the drone is usually a body of material with 4 motors on it. The motors have propellers on it. The propellers are controlled by, the motor speed's controlled by a computer. And then the computer's taking input and telling it where to go. And then so the body of the drone itself could be made out of plastic. We have Eastman here, they make a lot of plastic. So, and then we could have our students in high school designing the bodies of the drones. And then we could even have a kit made that each class in the school system gets, where they actually assemble a drone or a couple drones throughout the year, maybe. And we would simply have to say, okay, well, here, and then the high schools could be 3D printing the bodies. Heck, we could even distribute out 3D printers to each school, and they could 3D print them themselves in their class, and then they distribute them out, and like the 8th graders could 3D print them. And then 3D print the props, or maybe if Eastman and we got RCAM and those guys involved, we could do injection molding, teach them how to do that, use all those processes of plastic to actually build the body of the drone. And then we'd have to figure out, do we source the little motors, or can we build those too? Is there a program around here where we do that? We do have, when we start talking about the LEDs, the light emitting diodes, which basically every drone is a body, a computer, motors, a little bit of wire, and then a light is what you would want to put on the drone. And the light can change colors, which is just a RG, red, green, blue LED. And then you just basically, how bright it needs to be is how big how many watts the LED light is, which is very common. These things can cost pennies. So all in all, if we get into it and we build a drone for $10 a pop, we start taking that, we could get to where we have 20, 30,000 drones in the light show, all being programmed and controlled by kids that are doing classes at ETSU, or they're dual enrolled, or they're at Dobbins Bend, it doesn't matter at school, but they're actually programming, and then they actually get to put on the show. So they're learning production value as well. Now, what I think is really interesting about when you start putting a whole program like this, you start dealing with supply chain as well. So now you've got to have kids in supply chain figuring out how to get each manufactured part to the next destination without a backup, right? So you're able to teach supply chain, which are real world skills. I mean, Eastman spends a fortune on supply chain people each year, rightfully so. It's a very important part of the puzzle. So in this, right, this, I think, this is an example of a program that could be put in place in Kingsport. We could manufacture most of the stuff, we could design most of the stuff, and we could build it. And say we do year 1 in 2 years, and it's got 100 drones, which is easily achievable, and it's a small, and they put up a smiley face. That's awesome, right? I mean, the kids get to say, I did that, and then all of a sudden we've started to replace that fireworks show with our own, drone light show. And it doesn't, and since you own the equipment, it doesn't mean you can't do it more than once a year, right? We can start to do it more and more once a year. And I can't imagine the skills that would come out of a program like that would benefit this region. law enforcement, you know, these kids I could see in the morning, they're designing bigger drones that are actually going out and scanning all the roads for crashes and car wrecks. I could see that being a huge thing, and the city pays people to do that already, right? So why not, and not with drones, with cars, right? So why don't we just, I could see a program where all of a sudden the city's launching 5 drones in the morning just to go out and scan for safety, right? I mean, and that's it. They're just scanning all this neighborhood streets, and they come and they're recording back real time, you know? So I could see that being a program. And then looking at, you know, so this is an area where just wanted to kind of document so I don't forget it, where I think we could have a chance to build a program reusing local resources, training up, you know, young, bright individuals, giving them careers or at least skill sets to look forward, you know, to figure out how to use in the future, and all by eliminating, you know, a fireworks show using traditional fireworks and replacing it with modern fireworks shows, which would be drone shows, right? And I've seen drone shows on China, right? That's it. And if you want noises, we got stereos, right? We got speakers. So if you could turn your radio on, and if you want to hear the booms, the booms can be simulated through your speakers. You don't even have to remove all that. I don't know. One idea on a way to on a program. I probably ought to take this and write something up on it from a more complete perspective. But that's just a brainstorm idea of the Kingsport drone show to replace the old, fireworks. Anyway, thanks.